going back to Purdy and Pearsall, I I'm looking, of course, we're 49ers fans, and we're always looking for fantasy players who are 49ers because we watch all the games, so it's nice to have some of those guys. And I think Ricky Pearsall is going to be high on a lot of draft boards for sleeper potential, or maybe guys who you may want to take a little bit earlier than most because of the fact that with no Brandon Ayuk, there's going to be more opportunity for the ball to be spread around. Now, the problem is if he then becomes the sort of the de facto wide receiver that gets the most attention, that's not going to be great for him because, as we
Right.
know, him getting off of the line has been kind of the weakness of his game so far. So if he can sit in this like second or third receiver role, I think he can eat. But
Mm-hmm.
if Jennings is out and Ayuk is going to be out for the beginning, and if he has to be a little bit more of the number one receiver in the offense, that's probably not great for him at the same
I
time.
don't know how many number one corners he wants to be seeing because apparently Patrick Surtain was just eating his lunch, in terms of being able to get open. And like you say, that is not where, despite what the fans will say, number one, wide receiver one is not where you want Ricky Pearsall to be. He's not, that's just not who he is. He's not gonna route guys open, and he needs to be schemed, and he's like really good. He'd be a really good pick if he's like laying in the cut. You got Jennings, and then once you get Ayuk back, like you say, if you can slot him in the slot wide receiver 3, there will be a lot of opportunities. But hey, maybe you can, maybe a few rounds later, you just go ahead and draft Robbie Chosen, and that will be your he'll be your fantasy sleeper.
Well, I
I
was
say,
gonna.
as I say,
I wanted to talk about him because we saw. So obviously, Ricky looked great on that first drive.
hmm
Other guys we saw, Tariq Owens, he made a catch, so we got to see him. And who's the Hopkins made a couple catches as well. And it's like you
hmm
have like these really young guys, and then you got the OGs with Robbie Chosen and Russell Gage. I guess Gage hasn't been in the league in a couple years because of injuries, so he's really trying to
hmm
make it back on an NFL roster with this team. So
and then
it's like
Demarcus Robinson.
Jamarcus
And
Robinson.
I guess he's supposed to be suspended, isn't he?
Yeah, he's supposed to be suspended. I think the Niners are thinking like 3 games.
hmm
But again, he's kind of like he is a man amongst boys in the preseason because he is a he's
So it's
a
like it's year 10.
yeah, he's a
So I
successful
mean,
wide receiver in the NFL who's
yeah.
getting reps
Mhm.
because they expect him to miss some games, I think. But yeah, like
Yeah.
Chosen or Gage, like what do you think about these old guys who are trying to make a roster? And it's almost like in a sense, they're kind of the Jeff Wilson style.
Mhm.
They're pros, but also as you get older, the injuries are going to be a concern. Maybe you want to invest in younger players because you can develop them. But the Niners are at this interesting crossroads where they kind of need to win this season and next season because their best players outside of Brock, they're Kittle and Warner and Trent Williams. You really want to go after it right now for those guys because they're probably not going to be any better than they are now. So, do you lean towards some of the vets or do you go, hey, we may need to invest in some of these young players and figure it out? I don't know what the answer is. It's a Shanahan answer, obviously, but it is interesting seeing the OGs out there with the young players.
Well, I just, all I can base it on is what I've seen. We've got a pretty um long track record with Kyle at this point. This is what, season 8? Um I just, Watkins is hurt now. So it's like they say that's like a 3 or 4 week injury, which kind of sucks for him
Yeah,
that
awful
he
for him.
couldn't capitalize on the momentum that he was building.
Did you
Just
see him get hurt last week? I didn't even notice that he got
I did
hurt.
not.
How do you get a
I
high
did
ankle
not.
sprain and nobody even realizes until the next day?
But then, what we know about Kyle says that, you know, he's probably not gonna play anyway. I mean, I just don't trust when you tell me that, you know, Watkins and Cowan are gonna get this large target share. I know that there are going to be opportunities out there, obviously, because you're replacing Debo's 100 targets, and you're gonna have damn near half a season of IU targets that somebody's gonna have to get, and Christian and George can't get all the targets. So you're there with, I would imagine that if last year was any indication, JJ, if he's healthy, he's gonna get a large share, and it looks like Ricky could be in line for a large share, but still, you're still talking about 170, 180 targets. That is not going to be concentrated amongst those 3 or 4 players. There's somebody else is going to have to get targets, I would
Mhm.
imagine. And you know, I think that's where, like, as you were suggesting, play well, not so much Robinson, especially if he's missing, 3 weeks. That's where somebody like Gage comes in, and I would just imagine that he's going to see a pretty significant relative to what, for somebody who was out all of last year. I would imagine he's going to see a rather healthy target share. And then you've got somebody like Chosen, who again is a professional receiver. So again, I would think, based on what I know about Kyle, I would pick him to get a bigger target share than somebody like Cowan. I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. I'm just saying, if I were handicapping it, I would be leaning towards guys like Gage or Chosen. Not that I would lean towards them, but I would think they would be the
Yeah,
guys who
Kyle's
would.
yeah, we
Right, that
expect
would be
Kyle to go the vet route more so than the young
right.
player route in that instance.